Very good morning, all of you. Today we'll start with connecting rod. In figure, you can see that a typical connecting rod. It has two ends. One is small end, and which connects the piston pin, and the other end is big end, which is connected to the crankshaft. So the small end is also called as eye, and inside which you can see a bush. So a bush is placed inside the small end opening so that when it worn out, it can be easily replaced with a new one. The second important part of connecting rod is the shank, and it has a considerable length, and that connects small end and big end of the connecting rod. Generally, the cross section of the shank is rectangular or circular or tubular or I section or H section. But in most of the application, I section is preferred, whereas the circular section is used in low speed engines and I section is preferred in high speed engines. And during the design of the connecting rod, we will discuss why I section is widely used in variety of applications. Then you can see the big end is made in two halves or two parts, and they are connected by means of bolts. So you can see the small end, shank, and half portion of the big end are manufactured as a single unit, and remaining half of the big end is manufactured separately, and they are joined by means of a bolt, and they are called as castle nut is used. And at other end of big end you can see a spout, and particularly it is used for lubrication. So when connecting rod is moving continuously, so it takes the oil from the crankcase and it splashes so that the other parts, especially the cylinder wall, piston pin, piston rings will get lubricated. So that is the function of this spout. Then the question arises, how long this shank should be? So its length is very important. So if we go for short length compared to crank radius, then there you will observe that greater angular swing, and that is not good for the life of the connecting rod, and that results in greater side thrust on the piston. So that's why we should not select a shank with smaller length. In high-speed engine, the ratio of length of connecting rod to the crank radius, that is L by R, is generally taken as 4 or less than 4. And in case of low speed engines, the L by R ratio varies between 4 to 5. So generally based on experience and analysis, the this conclusion, that is the ratio of L by R, are recommended to use. Then the connecting rod transmits the push and pull forces from the piston pin to crank pin. So primary function of the connecting rod is to convert the reciprocating motion of the piston into the rotary motion of the crankshaft. Also, the connecting rod transfers the lubricating oil from the crank pin to the piston pin and provides a splash or jet of oil to the piston assembly. So, lubricating different components of internal combustion engine is also a role of connecting rod. Then the connecting rods are made by drop forging process, and the outer surface is generally unfinished because it doesn't play any role in the operation, but the inner portion should have smooth surface finish and it connects to connecting rod as sorry the piston pin as well as the crankshaft. So the inner surface should be very smooth. Then medium carbon steel is widely used for manufacturing the connecting rod and generally it contains 0.35 to 0.45% carbon. The alloy steels also used and it include nickel chromium or chromium molybdenum steels. Medium carbon steels are used for connecting rods of automobile and aero engines. So medium carbon steel is widely used and in some of the applications alloy steels are also used. Then, as I told you that connecting rod also has to lubricate various parts. So for that, with the help of spout, splash lubrication is also possible or sometime pressure feed system is provided for the lubrication of various components. Then the design of the connecting rod is very critical part because one side there is a continuously fluctuating force applied due to combustion of fuel inside the combustion chamber and at other end it has to transmit that force to the crankshaft and again again the important thing related to that it has made in different cross sections so we need to find out the failure of the connecting rod in different planes so you can see figure A that is xx plane and in figure B there is a y plane so you need to find out the buckling in which plane is more and accordingly you need to design. So the connecting rod is designed as a column or strut. So as the length between the two ends, that is I end and big end, so that length is considerable. So the connecting rod is designed as a column or strut. Then the buckling of the connecting rod takes place in two different planes. First, plane of motion. As you can see in figure 1, this is the plane of motion and it is generally that plane is considered as xx and the second plane is plane perpendicular to the plane of motion and that you can see in figure B and it is on axis y. So these are the two planes in which buckling may take place and as a design engineer you need to find out in which plane more buckling takes place and based on that you need to decide the design strategy. So in plane of motion, that is figure A, the end of the connecting rods are hinged at I and at large end in the crank pin and piston pin. And in a plane perpendicular to the motion B, the end of the connecting rod are fixed due to constraining effect of bearing at the crank pin and at piston pin. And it is observed that the connecting rod is 4 times stronger for buckling about y-axis as compared to buckling about the x-axis and with the derivation we'll see this particular statement whether it is true or not. So before going ahead will please remember that in plane of motion so we are considering axis xx and plane perpendicular to the plane of motion we will consider axis yy because we are going to take moment of inertia as well. So if a connecting rod is designed in such a way that it is equally resistant to buckling in either plane, so if we assume both planes should have the same amount of buckling, then the moment of inertia for both the axes is given here. 4Iyy is equal to Ix. And why this is 4? Because as I mentioned, more buckling may take place in YY axis. where I is moment of inertia of cross section, and it is expressed in mm raised to 4. Now we can replace this I, that is moment of inertia, by a k square, where a is cross sectional area and k is radius of gyration of the cross section area. So put the value I is equal to a k square and simplify. Upon simplification, you will get k y square is equal to 1 by 4 k xx square. So this relation is important. Now the above relationship proves that I section is ideally suitable for the connecting rod because kyy is equal to 1 by 4 kx square. So when you check that radiation gyration of relationship for x and y plane, then the section will become an I section, and which is preferred, and that's why I section connecting rod is widely used. On other hand, a circular cross section is unnecessarily strong for buckling about YY axis. So if you go with the circular cross section, then unnecessarily you need to increase the diameter, and that will increase the weight and unnecessarily increase the strength about YY axis. So that's why I section is widely preferred. Now this is a typical cross section of a connecting rod, and the proportions for the cross section of connecting rod for IC engine is given. So T is thickness of that I cross section, and that is the same all over the surface. Then the width is generally taken as 4 times thickness, and the height of the I beam or I section is generally taken as 5 times T. And this is your in plane axis, that is xx, and yy is a plane perpendicular to the in plane axis. So these are the two axes. So we will derive the cross section area A. So it is 2 into 4t into t. So in order to calculate cross section area, so the upper wave you can see here and the lower wave. So the formula is very simple, 2 into 4t into t. So you can see here. Furthermore, the cross section area for the middle portion, so it is 5t minus 2t, so it will become 3t into t. So simplify that equation and you will get cross section area of the beam is 11t square. Then take moment about x-axis axis. So you can see 1 by 12 into 4t. So 4t, this is the width, into 5t cube. So 5t cube. So this is the first segment minus 1 by 12 into 4t minus 3t. So this portion is must be deducted from the total. So this blank portion you can see highlighted by hatched by a yellow color. So this area is 1 by 12 4t minus t into 5t minus 2t cube. So simplify that, you will get the equation as 419 divided by 12 t raised to 4. So this is the moment of inertia along x axis or in x-axis plane. Then we know that the moment of inertia can be expressed in terms of radius of gyration. So k xx square is equal to I xx upon cross section area A. So put values of I xx and A. Upon simplifying, you will get kxx square as 3.17 t square, and once you take the square root, kxx is 1.78 t. So this is the radius of gyration in xx plane. Similarly, we will estimate the moment of inertia in y plane. So this is, just change the color. So yes, you can see the y axis or y plane, and you can see it is equal to 1 by 12, sorry, 2 into 1 by 12 into t into 4 t square. So this upper wave and lower wave, so there are two wave, so it will become 2 times. So here you can see 2 times 1 by 12. T is thickness of that wave. So you can see T is thickness, which is same for above wave and lower wave, into 4T cube. So the width is 4T. So in this way you can calculate, plus you need to think about the middle portion as well, about y axis. So it is 1 by 12. So 5t minus 2t. So total is 5t. You need to minus the upper wave thickness t and lower wave thickness t. So 5t minus 2t into t cube. So thickness of the middle portion is also t. So it's cube, t cube. So upon simplifying, you will get 131 upon 12 into t raised to 4. Again, this moment of inertia can be expressed in terms of radius of gyration in y plane. So it is equal to Iyy upon A, put the values and simplify and take the square root. So the radius of gyration in y plane is 0.996 t. So we have radius of gyration in y and x plane. Now take the ratio of moment of inertia in xx plane and y plane. So put all the values and upon simplifying, you will get 3.2. So 3.2 Iyy is equal to Ixx. And previously we discussed that we generally take 4 times Iyy is equal to Ixx. So whatever empirical relation that we discussed previously, now mathematically it is proved, or it is very close to this equation. So whenever there is a I section is used for connecting rod, then 4 times Iyy is equal to Ixx relation is widely used. Then you need to consider also the free body diagram in order to find out the force that is acting on the connecting rod, and generally it is denoted by PC. So you can see the direction of force which is acting on the connecting rod, and this force PC is due to two forces. First, the force which is exerted on the top of the piston due to, and which is exerted by the combust gases. So combustion takes place inside the combustion chamber, and during the combustion the internal pressure increases, and that exert a force P in a downward direction and on the piston. And at the same time we know that the piston is reciprocating inside the cylinder. So during reciprocating motion, there is a rubbing between piston surface and the cylinder wall. And because of that, there is a side thrust acting on the cylinder wall. So these are two forces, side thrust and force due to gas pressure, results in PC, that is the force acting on the connecting rod. And at a given position, the connecting rod makes an angle phi, that is angle of inclination of connecting rod with the line of stroke. And continuously this angle changes. So over the period of time, this force PC will not remain same, it changes. And that's why we draw a force triangle as you can see in figure B. PC is the PC, P and PS, and the angle phi is given. And you may be interested to know at what angle phi you will get maximum value of PC, because once you get the maximum value of PC, that is force on connecting rod, you can calculate the dimensions of the connecting rod. So from this figure B and the triangle, you can say P is equal to PC cos phi. So P is equal to PC cos phi. So we can write the force on the connecting rod, PC is equal to force exerted by the gas pressure, gas on piston divided by cos phi. And generally, after completion of combustion stroke, that is power stroke, and at an angle of phi is equal to 3.3 degrees Celsius, sorry, 3.3 degree, there is a maximum gas force acting on the piston and ultimately on connecting rod. So at phi is equal to 3.3 degree, maximum gas force is there. So cos 3.3 degrees 0.9983, which is very close to 1. So you can put this value in above equation, and you can see that we can assume that the force which is acting on the connecting rod is equal to the force acting on the piston due to gas pressure, and therefore to calculate the force acting on the connecting rod we can use the same equation, that is pi d square upon 4 into P max, where d is bore diameter or cylinder diameter and P max is the maximum gas pressure that is developed inside the combustion chamber. So this relation is used for calculating the PC. Again, we saw these two equations previously in the theory of buckling. So again, we will use these two equations. So the dimensions of cross section can be calculated by using Rankine formula for buckling of the connecting rod in the plane of rotation about x-axis axis. So according to this formula, PCR, that is critical buckling load, is equal to sigma C compressive yield stress into cross-sectional area of connecting rod divided by 1 plus A, where A is constant depending on the material used and end fixity coefficient, into length of connecting rod L divided by radius of gyration along x-axis plane and its square. So we use this particular formula to calculate either critical buckling load, or if critical buckling load is known, we can calculate the cross sectional area, or if these two values are known, then we can also use this formula to calculate the thickness of the connecting rod in which we are interested. Now there are some empirical relations or some known values. So for connecting rod made of mild steel or plain carbon steel, generally sigma C is taken as 330 megapascal. In the plane of rotation, both ends are hinged and equivalent length is equal to the actual length of connecting rod. And here constant A for steel material is generally taken as 1 upon 7500. Then critical buckling load can be calculated as the force acting on the connecting rod into factor of safety, and factor of safety generally taken as 5 to 6. And why factor of safety is taken as 5 to 6? Because generally the material used is mild steel, that is uh, a ductile material, and if ductile material is used, we generally use the factor of safety 5 to 6. Then while solving the numerical related to the connecting rod or designing the connecting rod, there is a typical procedure, and if you follow that procedure, you can calculate the dimensions of I section of connecting rod. So first, calculate the force acting on the connecting rod, that is PC, by using this formula pi d square upon 4 into P max, where d is diameter of bore and P max is the maximum gas pressure. Second, then calculate critical buckling load. So PCR is equal to PC. So PC just calculated, and factor of safety that we know we take between 5 to 6. Then use the Rankine formula. So PCR is equal to sigma C A upon 1 plus A into L by KXX whole bracket square. So use this formula again. We know that A is equal to 11T square. So put in this equation, KXX is 1.78T, A is a constant known, sigma C is 330. So if you put all these values in this equation, also PCR, so if you put all these values in this equation, then you will get the thickness of I section. So this is how we calculate thickness. And once you get the thickness, you can calculate in the figure. You can see once you get the value of thickness T, you can calculate width. P is equal to 4 times T, H is equal to 5 times T. So find out the dimensions of cross section of the connecting rod by using the proportions. B and H are the middle of the connecting rod. The width B is kept constant throughout the length. So this is very important. See, this is the length of the I section, and this throughout length, the dimension B is kept constant. So you can see the B is constant throughout the length. The height varies. The height varies. Here you can see at one end. Let me change the pen color. So here you can see the height is maximum at larger end of the connecting rod, and it is minimum at smaller end of the connecting rod. So H varies from big end to the small end, and at the middle, so at the middle section, H is taken as 5 times T, so just like you can see here. And at the small end, it is taken as 0.75 H to 0.9 H. So at smaller end, 0.75 to 0.9 H. And at the big end, the H2 is taken as 1.1 H to 1.25 H. So now, based on this, we will solve one numerical. Okay, so we will try to solve a numerical, and you can see the numerical is determine the dimensions of cross section of the connecting rod for a diesel engine with following data. So bore diameter D is given, length of connecting rod is given 350 mm, maximum gas pressure is given 4 megapascal. So here this Pascal should be in capital. And factor of safety is given as 6. So first step is always read the problem carefully and write down the given data. So diameter, bore diameter 100 mm, maximum gas pressure 4 megapascal, that is 4 Newton per mm square, length is 350 mm and factor of safety is 6. And you need to determine the dimensions of cross section of the connecting rod. And in previous two slides, we discussed the steps how to design the connecting rod and estimate its dimensions. So first step, force acting on the connecting rod. So we have this formula PC, force acting on connecting rod is equal to pi d square, where d is given 100 mm, and P max is also given 4 Newton per mm square. So put all the known values into the equation and you will get PC as 31415.93. So you get value of force acting on connecting rod. As once you get the force acting on the connecting rod, you can calculate the critical buckling load. PCR is equal to PC into factor of safety. So PC, we just estimated, factor of safety is given 6. So put the values and you will get the critical buckling load is equal to 188,495.58 Newton. Then next step is to calculate the thickness of the cross section area. So we know that A is equal to 11T square, K XX is 1.78 T, constant A is 1.7500, and if material properties are not given, we can take sigma C as 330 Newton per mm square. So put all these values in this equation of PCR. So A you can put here, sigma C, then KXX, A, and L is also given. So once you put all these values in the equation of PCR, you will get equation in terms of thickness T. So you can see here we put all the values and only one unknown we can see, that is T. So go on simplifying this equation, rearrange the term, move the term, and you can see you will get an equation T raised to 4 minus 51.93 T square minus 267.96. And if you replace T raised to 4 by T, then you can say it is a quadratic equation of T square. So for solving quadratic equation, we use this formula 51.93 plus minus square root of 51.93 square plus 4 into 267.96 upon 2. So the formula is basically minus B plus minus square root of P square minus 4AC upon 2A. This is the formula for solving the quadratic equation. Minus B plus minus B square upon B square minus 4AC upon minus square root of B square minus 4AC upon 2A. And keep simplifying this equation. And here from the equation, you can easily guess that you need to take the positive sign only, because if you take negative sign, the value become minus and thickness cannot be negative. So take only plus symbol and T square is equal to 56.66 and take the square root on both sides. So you will get thickness of cross section as 7.53, which is 8 mm. So here you get the value of thickness for cross section area, and once you get the value of T, you can calculate the width, that is equal to 4T, and the answer is 32 mm. And the value of B is same throughout the length of the connecting rod. And at the middle section, the height will be 5 times t, which is 40 mm. This is the t at middle. Then the thickness of the web, yeah, it's just we seen that it is 8 mm only, because for I section we assume that the thickness is same all over the cross section area. So the upper web and lower web thickness will be same, t 8 mm. Thickness of the flange 8 mm. Then the web 32 mm is kept constant throughout the length of the connecting rod. And by using the formula that we discussed in previous slide, here you can calculate the h at small end, that is h1, by using this formula, and the thickness h2 at larger end you can calculate by using the formula h2 is equal to 1.1 h2 1.25 t. So that's it for today's session. If you have any question related to today's session,